Welcome to the Great British Crochet Off technical version, where I chat over the technical aspects of this week's episode of the Great British Crochet Off, a series where I watch an episode of the Great British Bake Off and then crochet something that inspired me from it. This week was Chocolate Week. We made this beautiful, magnificent octopus. So let's go back in time and see how we got here. I just finished watching this week's Great British Bake Off for this week's Great British Crochet Off, and it was Chocolate Week. And as soon as I heard the chocolate centerpieces, which was the showstopper challenge, I knew exactly what I wanted to do because I've been dying to make an octopus for ages now. This is my jellyfish, voidfish. I clearly like making sea creatures. So I'm gonna make like all different kinds of chocolate octopus. So I'm gonna make like the main body of the octopus because they wanted you to highlight white chocolate in the challenge, and I do want to stand by that part of the brief. So I'm going to make the main part of the body white, like a creamy white for white chocolate. And then the underside is going to be like a biscuit base. So I'm going to use this camel color, and then I'm going to make the little suckers on the tentacles like a regular like chocolate color. And then I'm going to, if I have time, hopefully the more time I have the better, I'm going to decorate the top of the octopus with all sorts of like little chocolatey things. So I'm gonna start with the body of the octopus, and I'm using the Big Twist Living for that because I do want it to be like a little soft. So let's get started with that. Finished the like head of the octopus, and so I'll put the rose here in case you're interested in also making one, and I kind of tried to shape it so it had like a little bit of a sling back on the head and a little bit of like an eyebrow almost. So the eyes will probably go here. And now I'm gonna start flaring it out so I can work on the tentacles. Also, this is a 4.25 millimeter hook that So here we are in the tentacles thus far, and I would not say this is the way to do it. I would say this is a way to do it. I definitely wanted to have this kind of like curvy webbing in between, so I'm happy with the way that they look. I would say I made the skirt, maybe the skirt being this, a little bit longer than I needed to, but that's okay because I'm gonna stuff this anyways, and I think that's gonna help with the shaping. So I think I'm working on this one, and I'm trying out Bluey Stop Stealing Scene. And I'm trying out doing one last row with a half double crochet just to really build out some width in the tentacles. And then I'm going to be doing maybe a chain of 10 on this one. I'm hoping, oh my God, and a blueberry. Welcome to my life. Anyways, I'm hoping that this will be the last round I have to do on the tentacles because I do want to move along to the underside. So once I have the top of the tentacles finished, I'm going to work on making the bottoms, and I'm going to try doing all of those individually. I have two ways I could do the pattern because I want to insert a bobble stitch because the bobble stitch is going to be the little suckers. So I'm going to make the 8 bottoms, and then I'm going to kind of crochet them together into one piece and then decrease into a little circle and sew that on, if that makes sense. So next steps, we finish up the last line of the tentacles, and then we do our tentacle bottoms. This is a weird thing to talk about. And we sew this together and sew up the bottom, and then we can work on like the stuffing and the other bits. Do one more line of single crochets around just to clean up the edges and make it a little more cohesive. And then I'm gonna work on the bottom. So I was playing around with what I was going to do for like the suckers on the tentacle, and I started with the bobble stitch, but I feel like 1, it's really not giving tentacle enough, and 2, I use it a lot, and I feel like I need to like expand myself a little bit. So then I just started thinking about skills I've been playing around with recently, and one of them is the crocodile stitch, and I thought, can I kind of adapt that with single crochets to do like a little sucker? And yes, I can. This is perfect. So I'm going to do a couple more and then I'll show how I'm doing it. Here are the bottoms of my tentacles. And yes, this is the work of someone who needs to stop. So all these other ones, they just need the ends pulled back and tied. That's what I did with this one here. So this is eventually what all of them will look like. And I have all the little like individual suckers that I all crocheted by hand, and I will show you how I did that. As I said before, my loose interpretation for this was the crocodile stitch and like using bars to hold stitches. I needed more coverage than the crocodile stitch, so usually for that you do a V-stitch. So I did a double crochet so it had full coverage, and then I used these bars to crochet single crochets on. And I'm doing these every other row kind of evenly spaced down, and then towards the bottom I'll just put one in the middle. So for some unknown reason you'd want to replicate me, this is what you would do. So you're going to stick your hook, you're going to use 2 bars for every sucker. So you are going to stick your hook under the right one, you're going to pull through a loop, and then slip your stitch, and then you're going to use this bar to do 2 more single crochets for a total of basically 3 single crochets. And then you're going to put a single crochet into this bar below down here, so kind of curving it, and then you're going to curve it again, and you're going to use your left bar and put 3 single crochets in it. And then 1 more turn, and you're going to put a single crochet in the top here. And then you are going to slip stitch into your first entry point. So I slip stitch into my entry point, I pull this through, and that is a sucker. So I'm going to finish these off and then pull these ends back, and then I'll start on the next part. So I pulled all the tails through the little suckers, and they're all tied on the back. And then I attached them all by just doing a single crochet through the top. And now I'm continuing half double crochets around, decreasing as I go. And this will be the bottom of the octopus. So I'm just going to keep going with this. There really isn't like a pattern or a rhyme or reason. I just decrease as I go depending on how it's laying. You'll have to excuse me, it's gonna look like I skipped a couple of steps, but everything just started coming together really quickly. So before I started closing it up, I added the eyes. So what I did was, this is a safety eye, and this is just basically like a little donut of yarn. I chained 7 and then connected the chains, and then just did a couple of rounds. I think I increased one of them. And then I pushed the safety eye through the hole and attached it through the back here, just so the eye was lifted up a little bit, kind of like an octopus's would be traditionally. And then I am working on attaching the bottom. So I closed up this bottom, and now I am just single crocheting the bottoms and the tops together and kind of stuffing it as I go. So this one's done, and I think I just started on this one. So I'm literally just doing it in the cream colored yarn, a line of single crochets to close it up now that we have the eyes on. And yeah, I'm gonna keep closing it up, and then we'll do some of the decorative pieces, and then I honestly think this is like getting close to being done. And here it is all assembled, so all of the tentacles are sewed together. And now I think this is gonna be my last finishing touch, because I don't want to like add too much to it, because honestly I feel like it's so much more gorgeous than I ever expected that I don't want to ruin it. So I bought all of these beads, these ones here, and they kind of reminded me of candy. And so I wanted to add some pops of color. So I have my handy dandy glue gun. So I'm just gonna glue these all over the surface of it to give it some nice pops of color. And then, I don't know, we'll see if there's any more touches that are needed, but I'm pretty happy. So I started with my beading, and I started with just these ones, but then I started running out. And so I went to go pick up beads, and it was like buy one, get 2 free. And so I got some more sizes. So we're gonna add some more sizes in and add even more of these like little candy buttons to our octopus using our beloved glue gun. Okay, so it took me a lot of hours, but I finally finished doing all of the beading with all the 3 different bead sizes. I just stood there with my glue gun and a handful of beads and just tried to make them as like evenly spaced as possible. But I absolutely love him. He's going to be a gorgeous addition to Shea Yarn here. I'm definitely going to display him in here somewhere. And yeah, I'll see you guys next week.